Hi guys, welcome back to another video. This time we'll be in Leviticus, starting in chapters 1 through 3. I'm actually changing up the format. I started using this new software, Logos, for Bible study, and I was thinking that we can just go through some of the notes that I made, observations, go through the text. Obviously, we still read the text, pray in, pray out, but just changing it up a little bit. Instead of going by verses, I think we look at the entire passages, make some of the observations that I saw, and then how we could take from it. So, starting in Leviticus 1. Then Yahweh called to Moses and spoke to him from the tent of assembly, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when a person from you presents an offering to Yahweh, you shall present your offering from domestic animals, from the cattle or from the flock. If his offering is a burnt offering from the cattle, then he must present an unblemished male. He must present it at the door of the tent of the assembly for his acceptance before Yahweh. He must lay his hand on the head of the burnt offering, and it will be accepted for him in order to make atonement for him. He must slaughter the young bull before Yahweh. Then Aaron's sons and the priests will present the blood and sprinkle the blood all around the altar, that is at the door of the tent of the assembly. Then he must remove the skin of the burnt offering and cut it into pieces. The sons of Aaron, the priests, will put the fire on the altar and arrange the wood on the fire. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, will arrange the pieces of the meat and the head and the suet on the wood, that is the fire that is on the altar. Then he must wash its inner parts, its lower leg bones, with water, and the priest will turn into smoke the whole animal on the altar as a burnt offering by the fire, and as an appeasing fragrance for Yahweh. But if his offering is from the flock, from the sheep, or from the goats, for a burnt offering, he must present an unblemished male. He must slaughter it on the north side of the altar before Yahweh. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, will sprinkle its blood all around the altar. Then he must cut into pieces along with his head and his suet, and the priest will arrange them on the wood that is on the fire that is on the altar. Then he must wash the inner parts and the lower leg bones with water, and the priest shall present the whole animal, and will turn it into smoke on the altar. It is a burnt offering by fire as an appeasing fragrance for Yahweh. But if his offering for Yahweh is a burnt offering from the birds, then he must present his offering from the turtle doves and from the young doves. Then the priest will present it at the altar, and must wring off his head and turn it into smoke on the altar, and its blood will be drained out on the wall of the altar. He must remove his crop with his plumage and throw it to the east beside the altar on the place of the fatty ashes. Then he must tear it apart by his wings, but must not sever it. Then the priest will turn it into smoke on the altar on the wood that is on the fire. It is a burnt offering by fire as an appeasing fragrance for Yahweh." The word of our God. Honestly, what I saw in just the first chapter, I made questions of what is the significance of the laying on the head of the offering to be burnt, and what do these animals resemble spiritually? The turtle doves, the pigeons, the sheep, the goats, and the young doves. What do these all mean? And so when I did it, I compared kind of two different translations. I did Lexium, which is kind of also known as the New English Translation or the Net Bible, and I use CSB. Usually I use ESV, but I decided to change it up this year. In the Lexium, it uses Yahweh, and then CSB uses the Lord, and so does the ESV. They use the Lord. And I kind of thought of like Yahweh as being more personal and honoring, and have more reverence, because even back then, the Lord is kind of a new thing to kind of a modern way to call to Yahweh. But then they called him Yahweh, and they called him Abba Father, So another thing is the people. We should identify the people who are really prevalent in this passage. So it's Aaron and his sons. We have Moses, as he is the point of contact to the Lord, and how we get these laws and how they should offer. And also the assembly, or the people of the land, which which are the Israelites. And so when we see these cross references, we can see that it is also noted in Genesis 22:9. When they come to the place of which God had told them, Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Exodus 19:3. While Moses went up to God, the Lord called him out of the mountain, saying, "Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob and tell the people of Israel." Exodus 40:34. Then the cloud covered the tent of the meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Exodus 40:35. And Moses was not able to enter the tent of meeting because the cloud settled on it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. We can see that there was a step-by-step process that the priests and Aaron must follow for those sacrifice or offerings to be holy to the Lord, and so they were able to receive forgiveness of their sins, guilt, sin, or even thanksgiving, which they'll go into a little bit later in Leviticus 4:4-6, kind of what it means to give an offering for Thanksgiving. And so it was very clear and concise, the laws of how they were supposed to do it. And so the Lord was not a confusing God. He made it very clear on how we are supposed to come to him for forgiveness and how we're supposed to offer up these sacrifices and how it's supposed to be done. And so this shows that even the God of the Old Testament, which I think today we can even be like the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament, two separate gods, but it's still the same God. He still desired to be in a relationship with his people. And so even then, back then, he made it very clear what you're supposed to do. Like we know nowadays what we are supposed to do to receive forgiveness from the Lord and to be in relationship with him. And so, because they were such clear and established, he desired for the closeness of his people. And so we can see with that, it's when we see of the blamelessness and the blemish free of the sacrifices of the lambs, we can see that kind of foreshadowed to what Jesus was. He was blameless and he was blemish free because he was a sinless man. And it points to Jesus ultimately being the sacrificial lamb. He came and he sinned not and was blameless in nature. And it honestly points to the ultimate plan for how God wanted to redeem the deteriorating relationship with his people. I think it also touches idol worship and improper worship to Yahweh. Now, back then it looked worship and idol worship looked a little bit different, but what are the things in our lives that we are idolizing and improperly giving to Yahweh? How are we not honoring the time and his calling and his equipment for our lives? And especially in this new year 2026, how can we be even more in tune with the Father? And how can we even be more in tune to his calling and to his voice? I think that allows us to entering the quiet time and laying down those idols that are not meant to be there, and that's God's place. So I think it touches the idol worship and the improper worship. How are we not honoring God with our time? So I think honestly, to apply this to ourselves in modern time, was important that the Israelites were making sure they were aware and conscious of the sin that they were doing, and even if it was unconscious and they were made aware, they gave an offering to the Lord for that forgiveness. And so in those days it looked a little bit different, but even now it's still recalled that confession is freedom. And so when we come to the Lord, and when we come to a realization of the sin, hidden and unhidden, that we should immediately bring it to our brothers and sisters and sacrifice it and put it to the altar so it can be severed, and so we can receive the forgiveness and start the forgiveness of repentance and forgiveness of our sins. So we need to be able to check ourselves and what we are idolizing, and making sure we are laying down everything in front of the Lord. So that's kind of what I have for Leviticus 1 through 3. Very important things. And like I said, we kind of left off Mark 7 of Jesus talking about the laws of that time, and I think it'd be really good to understanding what they were kind of thinking and the sacrifices and what they were still doing in that day. So because you never want to read the Bible out of cultural context. Not everything is supposed to be taken face value, and it's very important that you have the cultural context so you can still understand the magnitude and the importance of what God was saying in his word. So yeah, that's all I have. I'll see you guys in Leviticus 4 through 6. Leviticus has 17 chapters, and so going through that piece by piece, it'll be a couple weeks or maybe a couple days, and then we'll go back to Mark 7, maybe even earlier than February than what I talked about. But yeah, so I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.